Hey everybody, we got another quick tip for you today. We're going to be talking about using the Pamela's new workout as a sort of gate sequencer for sequencing drums and placing things in a grid. So let's get right on into it. So in our last Pam's quick tip video, we took a look at the Euclidean modes, and we kind of just very briefly skimmed over how they worked. But today I want to take a look at kind of hacking them and using them as a very specific style of gate sequencer, right? So we're going to use some drums as our example sounds for this, and let's get cracking here. So we're going to put a hi-hat in as just sort of like our metronome tempo thing, and yeah, we're also going to preemptively patch in our snare drum to channel 2 here, and then we're going to patch 3 and 4 right into 1 and 2 channels on maths, and those are going to control our kick drum. So right away, the first thing I'm going to do is get a little kind of metronome going. I'm going to put this hi-hat on 2, and we'll see how that sounds. That's the snare drum. Cool. All right. Solid. Okay. Right? Beautiful. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is make a very simple drum pattern. We're going to put the kick drum on 1, and then we're going to put the snare drum on the 3, right? And we're going to do that by kind of hijacking the Euclidean mode in Pamela's new workout here. So I like to think of everything kind of like a grid, right? So in the Euclidean mode, we're going to make a single grid row, and we're going to make 8 little steps in that grid row, and then we're going to have one step that's going to be our Euclidean trigger, and we're going to just kind of position it in that little 8-step grid, right? And we want it to be on the 3, so we're going to put it 4 offsets from the beginning, and that's going to land right on the 3. All right, so let's do that right now. We're going to long press into channel 2, and we're going to go to the left until we get to Euclidean steps, and we're going to crank that up to 8. And then we're going to go to Euclidean triggers, and we're going to make that 1. And then we're going to set the Euclidean rotation, or the offset, to 4, right? And now, when we hit play, unmute this snare drum, it should sound like tick, 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 psh. All right, cool. You know, I mismeasured the amount of tick-ticks before, you know, the psh, but that's okay. So now let's patch up a kick drum. We're just going to use a classic Dixie triangle wave into a VCA with a little bit of enveloping for maths to create our kick drum here today. So let's just get that done. So now that I've got my kick drum sound going here, we've got a pretty decent sounding drum pattern actually. So let's take a listen. But it's very plain Janey, I guess you could say. It's very straight and boring. So what we're going to do to get started with a little bit of zazz, I guess you could say, is we're going to make that kick drum only hit on the 1, right? So let's repeat the same thing we did over on channel 2, over here on channel 3. Let's long press in and then go over to Euclidean steps and set that to 8. And then we're going to set Euclidean trigger to 1. And we're not going to set the rotation to anything because we want this to just trigger on the 1 here. So let's go. All right. Okay, so that's awesome. And now I think I've pretty well illustrated the fact that we can use this to kind of create a little grid and put a point anywhere in it that we so choose. So that's really awesome, especially in Pamela's workout and especially in the realm of modular where you're dealing with a lot of event-based things. Now, we haven't changed the speed for either of these 2 channels. They're just running at 1. So we could actually, you know, change the speed here or add some extra Euclidean triggers to this kick drum track, or just change the amount of grid spaces we have to get a more interesting kick drum pattern. So let's increase our step amount to 2, and then let's change the step, or the, excuse me, the boop, the amount of steps to, let's change that to 5. So let's see how that sounds. So right away, these are a little bit more fun and kind of interesting kick drum patterns, right? And we can apply the same sort of logic back again to our snare drum pattern over here, right? Because in our little grid, we've got one trigger happening, and it's happening right in the middle, right? So we could maybe set another one, because it's going to start from the middle and then evenly distribute triggers across the grid. So we could maybe set that to 2 and put another little trigger in right at the end there, kind of on the offbeat. So let's long press in again, go to Euclidean triggers, hit 2, and then right? Okay, so this is instantly more fun. Now, where things can get even more wacky is when you start to add in probability, or you start to logic these channels against each other. Now, I've kind of wired up this second channel here going on to 4 for our kick drum, and we're going to combine it with maths. We're going to use this sum bus here and a little bit of fun Euclidean programming to create some like really kind of weird steppy kick drum patterns here. So let's go. Let's go, and we're going to go to channel 4. We're long press in, and we're going to go all the way over to Euclidean steps. Now let's see how far we can go. How long of a grid can we create? 32 steps. That's a pretty long grid. Well, let's just make a 16-step grid right there, and then let's set the trigger amounts to let's set it to 5, and then let's set the rotation to 2 there, so it'll be kind of just like a little wiggy offbeat sort of thing. And then we'll make this envelope kind of very short, so it's like kind of like an accenty type of thing. Let's see how this sounds. All right, so got a little wiggy there, but I hope you can see what I'm kind of going for. You can combine 2 channels, and we could start to use logic here to really truly combine them and get some sort of wiggy stuff. But you can also use this strategy for things that aren't drums too, like maybe a melody or a rhythm if you want it to happen at an exact moment in space. If you're doing a lot of grid-based composition, this can be really helpful, super fun, and very advantageous in the modular environment. So get out there, give this quick tip a try, and we will see you next time. Make sure to like, subscribe. We've got contests going on every month in 2022 where we're giving away free synths. We got a blog called Signal that's freaking rad. It's filled with awesome information. So that's a quick tip and a quick plug, and we'll see you next time. All right, I'm done.